And I'm pleased to introduce to you Lynn Hamilton. When I first started in practice many years ago, it was Lynn's book, Facing Autism, that I recommended to many of my parents, and I still recommend it today. And I know many of the clinicians do the same. Lynn is now a mother of 4. Her oldest son is 16. Almost 16, and Lynn is going to talk to you about how to implement the methods we've been talking about as a parent. So Lynn, welcome.
I'm a lot shorter than everyone else here. Okay. Really good thing about my talk is that you're not going to learn about any new treatments. Yeah. Your brains are probably fried by now, and what my job is I get to help you figure out how to sort through what you heard, sort through things so you're not overwhelmed and you can continue to learn more from the doctors and researchers tomorrow and the next day. So before I start, though, let me give you a poem. It's by Michelle Guppy, and she wrote it for Mother's Day, and it's called I Am for Mothers. Now, I'm not going to read the whole poem, but the parts I have are very special. She's a good writer. She says this: I am the little engine that did. When on my journey in life, my tracks led me to a mountain, a diagnosis of autism, I looked on it with defeat, thinking there was no way I could climb over it. Then I pondered the obstacle before me, and I started to climb the mountain, saying to myself over and over again, I think I can, I think I can, I think I can. Then I made it over that ominous diagnosis of autism, and I continued my journey. I am the little engine that did. I am Xena, real-life warrior of autism. With my steel-plated armor, I can fight anyone who gets in the way of progress for my child. I can fight the stares and ignorance of tippies, those without autism in their lives, and educate them as to why my child is the way he is and why he does the things he does. I can fight the schools to have them properly educate my child, and I can fight denied insurance claims to get coverage for my child. Yes, I am Xena, and I am armed for battle. I am the bionic woman. I have X-ray vision, and I can see through the mask of autism on my child's face and the beauty in his soul, and the intelligence in his eyes when others can't. I have superhuman hearing. I can look at my child when he smiles at me and hear his voice say, I love you, Mommy, even though he can't talk. Yes, I am thankful to be bionic. I am Stretch Armstrong, a mom that can be stretched beyond belief and still somehow return to normal. I can stretch limited funds to cover every treatment and therapy that insurance won't. I can stretch my patience as I explain my child's biomedical issues to yet another uneducated doctors. That's not you all here. I can stretch what time I have and share it with my husband, my children, my church, and still have some time left over to help others. Yes, my name is Stretch, and I have the stretch marks to prove it. I am a true survivor, a mom of a special needs child who has faced, is facing, and will face some of the most difficult challenges a life has to offer. And I am equipped for the challenge. I have a strategy to get around any obstacle, the endurance to last the game, and the sense of humor to cope with it all. After all, anyone can be stranded in the Australian outback voluntarily, where they had time to prepare, they knew the language, and they knew that they'd return home eventually. But only moms and dads of special needs children can survive going to bed one night and waking up in Holland, not knowing how they got there, not have had time to prepare, and not knowing the language, and not knowing if they will ever return home. Yes, I am a true survivor, and I don't need to win $1 million to prove it, though it would help pay for stuff. I am the mom of a special needs child. I am above all, everything above all, and so much more, and on the days I want to be none of the above, longing to just be a typical mom on a typical day, doing typical things, I will remember that it's okay to be angry, and to cry, and to lean on my friends for support, because after all, the most important thing I am is human. Oops. Her poem is just so touching. It's another 2 pages long, and obviously I couldn't read it, but it's a fascinating poem. This is oh, you can't see it. This is a picture of Pikes Peak somewhere. It'll come up. There it is. I live in Colorado Springs, and that's what I get to see every day. It's a gorgeous view, beautiful mountain range. Pikes Peak is named after Zebulon Pike. And what's interesting is that Zebulon Pike tried to scale the mountain, and at one point he was about halfway up, and he is quoted as saying, this mountain is unscalable. Now, being from Colorado Springs, I know that most of the people in the city have climbed Pikes Peak. It is scalable. But at the time, he didn't think so. And that's often what we as parents are faced with. We are told autism is unscalable. But I do know that autism is treatable, and some do recover from autism. It is possible. Now, before I go into some of the details about sorting through the information you've learned, I'm going to tell you 10 tips to take the stuff home that you've been learning from all these doctors, how to sort through it. Let me just give you a short introduction to our family. Ryan is our oldest son, and he's the one who developed autism. He was a typically developing child, had all the milestones. We have videotape of him of his first year of life. He played peekaboo, we'd read stories, he'd point out things. Very typical child. He then regressed into autism, and he was diagnosed at 2 years, 8 months old with full-blown autism. He fit it to a T. At the time he was diagnosed, he had an IQ of 53, which, as you know, is in the retarded range. He had no language. His language consisted of ee, and he'd say wah, 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 and he would scream, a high-pitched, blood-curdling scream. He did not have friends. He sat and lined up toys. He liked to rock on his rocking horse, watch Disney movies, and line up toys. He was not learning. He was not pretending. He wasn't interacting. He had that diagnosis of autism, and at that point, our future was dim. Now, over the last numerous years, we have treated our son from every angle that you can imagine, and I've listed some here. ABA was critical, and I'm so glad that on the first seminar they talked about that ABA works together with the biomedical. And we started with ABA, started adding the diet, biomedical, and we started seeing our son come back. Now, not everything on this list worked for us, and I think you've heard that a lot today, that some things will work for you and not for me, and some things work for me and not for you. But we did look under every rock for our son. Now, I'm going to show you just a short news broadcast, so you'll get to see our son before treatment, and you'll get to see him after treatment. And let's see if this works. Oh, look at that.
Tonight, an inspirational story about Madison parents really in the fight of their lives. When Lynn and Roger Hamilton's young son was diagnosed with autism, all they knew about the disorder was what they saw in the movie Rain Man.
Autism is a mysterious developmental disorder that affects 1 in 500 people, and that number is on the rise. Tonight, in a 27 News special report, Shannon Payat shows you how the Hamiltons fought autism and how they are helping other parents do the same.
No, we're not going to do it again.
Can we do it later?
Nothing was easy. All he could do was scream. And not a little scream, but a blood-curdling scream.
What Lynn and Roger Hamilton did not know was that their little boy Ryan was autistic.
He was very rigid in his behaviors. If a pillow went right here and I moved it right here, he would scream until it had to be put right back there. My son had no play skills. He couldn't take a car and play with
toys there?
If you gave him cars, he would put them in a row, and then he would turn them over, and then he'd turn them back, and that's what he did.
And Ryan paid no attention to Mom or Dad.
Can you say Barney?
Ryan had no language, so at age 3, he couldn't tell us what he wanted, what he liked, what he disliked, what he needed.
Shortly before his 3rd birthday, Ryan was diagnosed with autism, a developmental disorder.
You think you have a child, beautiful and perfect, which he was, but then to be told that he may never speak to you, he may never learn, he may never whatever, he might need supervision all his life, may never live on his own, it's devastating.
Yeah, his IQ in the beginning was only in the low 50s. He didn't understand hardly any language. He had like one word that he used generically.
After researching options for treatment, the Hamiltons turned to Madison autism specialist Dr. Glenn Sallow for applied behavior analysis, or ABA therapy.
We want to teach the kids as many skills as they can so that they can fit in and be normal if possible. That's the goal.
This is an ABA therapy session at the Hamiltons' home.
They weren't all like that. That was the
and
first
Dr.
one.
Sallows used positive reinforcement to teach Ryan basically everything.
And we teach one thing at a time. So we teach them to sit in the chair. We'd use very simple language like come here, go play, because we're not sure what they understand. And a lot of times they're afraid.
ABA taught Ryan everything from how to sit.
Ryan, come here. All right, good job.
To how to speak. This is Ryan's first sentence.
Have